What if one company owned gaming? Every console, every store, every game. Sounds terrifying. And completely impossible. There is no way that gaming isn't a monopoly. Microsoft has basically purchased every studio known to mankind. They own the Minecrafts, the Call of Duties, the Rims of Sky. So there is absolutely no way you can convince me that gaming isn't a monopoly.
Howdy, partner.
Well, here's 3 reasons gaming can never be a monopoly. One of the biggest reasons gaming can never truly be monopolized is because it's built on creativity, not control.
Fleet, all remaining systems will bow to the First Order!
At its core, a game starts as an idea, and that idea will always be free. You don't need permission to make the next great game, except for the tiny issue that game development requires. You know, engines, art software, audio tools. Companies can absolutely monopolize those. Well, that's technically true, but developers have options. Unity, Unreal Engine, and so many others. These tools succeed by helping developers succeed. Even if a company gets greedy, developers would move to another tool faster than gamers abandoning another live service Fortnite clone. Okay, but what about the hardware? Consoles, PCs, and launchers, those can definitely be monopolized, right? I mean, Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo have basically turned competition into an extreme sport. Well, not exactly. A monopoly requires a single seller, and gaming simply doesn't have one. Sure, breaking into the console market is about as easy as going Super Saiyan 3. But consoles are only one piece of the industry. On PC alone, developers can sell games through countless storefronts. And before anyone starts typing in the comments that Steam is a monopoly, it really isn't. Valve Corporation absolutely dominates the PC market, but dominance and monopoly aren't the same thing. People use Steam because that's where their library is, their friends are, and most importantly, where the sales are. The moment Steam stops offering the best experience, players can and will move elsewhere. We've seen this before. Just ask Xbox One how mandatory online policies worked out.
Fortunately, we have a product for people who aren't able to get some form of connectivity. It's called Xbox 360.
Right. So stick with 360. That's your message. If you don't,
Well,
if you don't like it.
Gaming companies don't control players, and players are about as loyal as a cart standing near an open door. What about the games themselves? Big corporations can simply buy out the smaller studios and maximize profits. Remember what I said about creativity? It doesn't care who has the biggest wallet. No matter how much money a company throws into a project, if the game doesn't connect with players, it doesn't sell. Fun isn't something you can manufacture in a boardroom. Because the barrier to entry is so low, there is nothing stopping someone from making the next Zelda, Halo, or God of War. The next great game could come from a billion-dollar publisher or a guy in his mom's basement. That's what makes gaming so special. Fun can't be quantified on a spreadsheet, and player taste can't be dictated by a board of directors. What you consider garbage might be someone else's masterpiece.
She is very gorgeous to me!
Even giants like Microsoft have learned that acquiring legendary studios doesn't magically produce legendary items. Creativity still comes from the developers themselves. But what if a company owned everything? The games, the consoles, the platforms, and studios. Wouldn't that be a monopoly? Well, technically yes. But it would be as likely as me winning a ranked match without blaming my teammates.
It was a misinput. Calm down! You calm down!
Let's make a hypothetical big company that owns it all. That means Nintendo, Microsoft, PlayStation, all of it. Now here's the problem. Controlling everything isn't the same as keeping everything. For a monopoly to survive, the company would have to constantly maintain the quality of every major franchise it owns across every platform, forever.
So we don't have the capacity.
And that's where things start falling apart. Because what's stopping the developers from leaving? What's stopping a creative team from walking away and building something new on their own? Gaming isn't like other industries where you can lock down supply chains and call it a day. The supply chain here is people. and people leave when the creative direction stops making sense. And even if you somehow hold everything together, you can't stop someone else from having a new idea because there is no permission required. And suddenly, your monopoly has competition again. Even if a gaming monopoly were possible on paper, in practice it would be extremely fragile. Because the industry itself refuses to stay still long enough for it to matter. And that's the real problem with trying to monopolize gaming. You can buy the studios, acquire the platforms, and own all the hardware. But the moment you think you've conquered the industry, someone somewhere is already building the next great game that will challenge you. Gaming ultimately comes from people, and a monopoly works on controlling supply, but in gaming the supply is creativity. Gaming belongs to the players, developers, modders, and dreamers. And as long as someone, somewhere, has an idea worth making, gaming will always remain exactly what it was meant to be. Free. If you enjoyed this video, you'll probably like this one, where I talk about how rarity in gaming is often completely fabricated, because apparently artificial scarcity is more addictive than actual gameplay. Anyway, thanks for watching, and remember, stay non-playable.
You keep talking, man, and you shut the fuck.